Thank you so much for joining me today. Has the last year been crazy or what? I have missed so much seeing boys and girls and getting to tell them Bible stories and just meet with people in general. Just think last year our lives were just starting this craziness. We were actually in Mexico while y'all were busy buying up all the toilet paper. And we got back and everybody had to stay at home. We had to be so careful. We had to wear masks and it was a hard, I don't know, if you look back, I'm looking back and thinking it's been a hard year and kind of a scary year in some ways because we didn't know what to expect. And you know, I like to read my Bible a lot. And this January I was starting to read my Bible over again, and I got to the story of Joseph. And it just really spoke to me because we haven't known what was going to happen. You know, we always think that we make plans and we think this is going to happen, but you know, I saw in Joseph's life that he probably was the same way as we are. He made plans just like we make plans, but suddenly his life turned upside down. And as I was reading, I started in Genesis 37, and you know, there Joseph was he was a 17-year-old kid, but his dad would use him to go out and check on his brothers, and he came back and he was telling his dad, said, "Oh, Dad, you know what they were doing? It's not good. You're not going to like this." And he would tell his dad, said, "Dad, you know what they were doing today?" And as a result, his brothers, as you can well imagine, his brothers didn't think very much of him. In fact, they just didn't like him at all. So one day, time had gone on, and Jacob, his dad, sent him out and said, "Joseph, I need you to go out and check on your brothers and just see how things are going." So he started out and he found them, but they saw him afar off and they thought, "Hey guys, this is our chance. We could get rid of this kid that's always being obnoxious and always tattling on us." And so they thought, "We could kill him." And Reuben goes, "Oh no guys, let's not kill him. He is our brother." So he looked around and there was a big hole in the ground and he said, "We could just put him in this hole in the ground and just leave him and it'll be okay." And so they did that. They put him in that hole, and Reuben was thinking, "I'll come back later and get him out because he is my little brother, and oh, my dad just loves him so much." And so the brothers put him in that pit in the ground, and as, you know, they were just chatting and doing whatever guys do when they're out watching the flocks, and they looked up and they saw a group of Ishmaelite traders coming by, and they thought, "Hey, why should we just throw him in that pit and not get anything for him? Why don't we sell him?" So that is what they did. They took him out of that pit, and when these traders came by, they said, "Hey, would y'all like to buy this young man? He could be your servant." So they said, "Sure, we'll do that." So they bought him, and they took him to Egypt. Now the brothers went home to Dad and they said, "Dad, we're sorry, but we found Joseph's clothes here and they have blood on them, and we think something's happened to them." He was so upset because he loved his son. He loved him immensely, and he did not want anything to happen to him. But so he was just sad, and here Joseph is taking off with all these people, these strangers, and I'm sure he's like, "God, you see me here? What's going on? Could you send somebody to rescue me?" But you know, Joseph went on to Egypt, and when the Ishmaelite traders got there, they sold him as a slave to a man named Potiphar. Now Potiphar was a very important guy with the king, and he had people to do his work for him, and so he bought Joseph and thought, "Oh, yeah, I'll just take this young man. He looks like a hard worker." So he took Joseph into his home, And Joseph was working, and Joseph had a belief in God. He knew the one true God. And he tried to do his best at whatever he set his hand to. And Potiphar started noticing that. He noticed that when he did the crops flourished. When he did things at the house flourished. Everything Joseph was in charge of just prospered and did really, really well. And Potiphar was going, this was a good purchase for me. And so gradually he put Joseph in charge of everything he had. Everything. But you know, I'm still in Joseph's mind. He had an important position, but he was not his own person. He still had to do what somebody else told him all the time. And I'm sure he's going, God, I guess this is okay. I know you're taking care of me, but could you send my family or send somebody to, I would really like to see somebody I know. I would like to do my own thing. But as time went on, Joseph just continued to be his very best at what God had called him to do at that moment. And so Potiphar's house just continued to do well. But one day, Potiphar's wife noticed something. She noticed, this Joseph guy is really nice looking. And she thought, I think I would just like his attention. Well, Joseph saw that and he thought, no way. He said, no, Potiphar has put me in charge of everything in his household, but not his wife. And so he just steered clear of her. Nope, not going there. But one day, Joseph was in Potiphar's house working and nobody else was around. And his wife Potiphar's wife came to him and said, Joseph, come here. And he goes, no way, and he ran out. And she grabbed his coat and kept it. And she goes to her husband and says, this man that you put in charge of your house, he was making sport of me. Look, he left his coat here. And Potiphar was so raging mad, he threw Joseph in jail. He was in prison. So, I'm sure Joseph was going, God, really? This is not what I want to do. Could you please take care of this? So, Joseph was in prison now. No, that's just where he was. There wasn't anything he could do. He had done nothing wrong. He did not deserve to be there, but he was still there. Well, again, he could have lost all of his hope and said, forget this, but he didn't. He said, I'm going to do my best. God's put me here for some reason, and I'll do my best. So the jailer started noticing that everything Joseph did well. And he started giving Joseph some responsibilities in the prison, and he'd put Joseph over some of the prisoners, and whatever he put Joseph over did really well. The prisoners acted nice, everything went great. So he would put him over a little bit more. And so Joseph was put over eventually he had a lot of responsibilities in that prison, but he was still in prison. I'm sure he wanted out, and I'm sure he was going, God, remember me? It just so happened, one day the king got upset with a couple of his workers and his baker and his cupbearer, and he threw them in prison. And just so happens they were under Joseph, and Joseph was taking care of them, and they had dreams. Each of them had their own dream. And they thought, what do these dreams mean? I don't know what these dreams mean. And they started telling them, and somebody said, hey, Joseph, he can interpret the dream. And Joseph did. He told them exactly what their dream meant. Said in 3 days, one of you is going to get restored to your position. You're going to be back with the king again. And the other one goes, whoa, I want to know what mine's going to be. So he told Joseph his dream. And Joseph said, I'm sorry, but in 3 days, you're going to be killed. You're not going to survive. And it happened just like Joseph had said. And Joseph said, wait a minute. Remember me. You see me here in this prison. Remember me when you get out, and tell and tell the king, and so I can get out of this prison. So in 3 days, everything happened exactly as Joseph had told them. And the cupbearer was restored to his position, and guess what? He forgot all about Joseph. And he just went on serving the king, and a couple of years went by, and the king had a dream. So the king called in all of his people that were so smart and knew how to interpret dreams, and said, "What does my dream mean?" And none of them could tell him. None of them knew. And about that time, the cupbearer goes, "Oh no, I messed up. There is a man in prison who told me what my dream was going to mean, and it happened exactly as he said. And I was supposed to tell you about him when I got out, and I totally forgot. Oh, and I bet he's still in prison. We could check." So they did, and sure enough, Joseph was still in prison, still doing what God had called him to do at that moment. And they went, and so the king said, "Go get him, bring him to me." So they went and got Joseph and got him all cleaned up, and he went before the king, and the king said, "I hear you interpret dreams." And you know what Joseph said? "Not me, but the God that lives in me interprets the dreams." So the king told Joseph what his dream was. And Joseph said, "Well, what your dream means is that for 7 years, oh, you're going to have amazing crops. Oh, everything you plant is going to grow and just do great, more than you could imagine. And then you're going to have 7 years of drought where nothing grows. You're not going to have any crops. And the people of Egypt they'll go hungry if you don't do something. But what you need to do, O king, is to find somebody really smart that can be over all the land of Egypt, and for 7 years collect all this extra grain and keep it so that in the 7 years of drought that you will have something that they can come to you, and you can give them what they need." And so the king starts thinking, now who can we do this for? Who can we put? He said, you seem to have found favor with God. I'm going to put you in charge. I'm going to let you be in charge of all the crops. So that day, the king put Joseph in charge of all of the land of Egypt. Only the king was greater than him. So I want to think about this. Joseph went from a skinny kid and his homeland that his brothers didn't like him and they sold him. He was a slave, and then he was in prison for many years. At this point, Joseph was now 30 years old. For 13 years, he had been going, "Hey God, you see me here? I don't understand this. Could you do something about this?" For 13 years, he didn't lose hope. He kept God in his heart, and he did not lose hope. But when he was 30 years old, God brought him out of prison, and not only brought him out, but made him second command in a great nation. God used him mightily over the years. Things happened just as the dream had said, and all that time Joseph was over him. And with all this stuff that we've been through in the last year, it's still kind of scary. People are still getting the coronavirus, and people are dying that it makes us so sad, and just things are happening that we don't understand, and we want to lose hope sometime, but we don't have to lose hope. God is in charge. He's got this. Nothing can pass by God everything passes by God before it gets to us. Nothing gets to us without God knowing all about it. And He allows it. And we've just got to trust Him that He has a reason. There's a verse in Jeremiah 29:11 that says, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you, plans to give you hope and a future." He has such great plans for you, and He wants so much for you to trust Him and just to have hope in Him. And that is my prayer for you today too, is that you would have hope, that you would trust the one true God, and that you would know that He loves you beyond anything you can imagine, and He wants to have hope, and He wants you to have hope. Y'all have a great day.